The hottest station in the nation. ZiFM Stereo.
It's Lionel Messi! He scored! The goal the world wanted!
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
It's Neymar trying to feed it through. It's a stretch and it's in. And I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. Extraordinary scenes.
The biggest interviews.
It's more difficult. Obviously, it's more difficult.
And all the analysis right here.
If they play poorly, they come back, they've got all the excuses. You can't have it both ways.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
These are the champions. Yes, indeed. It is back.
An old Prince Edward boy.
Yeah, you're not going to get any music contracts soon, Baz. But you know exactly what I was singing, don't you? It's the UEFA Champions League. It is back tonight, and we've got a special for you coming up in the beautiful game in the second half of the show, as we do here on ZiFM Sport, because we keep you on the cusp of everything happening in the world of sport. Ahead of that, there's lots to look forward to on Top Hit Tuesday, and a bit of music as well. Today is a special day. The team is here. Mike Madora, Mark Pozzo, Alice Bunjira, and me, Barry Manandi, on production. Sean Tafirenyika. We start with football news on the home front, where Sport, Arts and Recreation Minister Kazembe Kazembe has summoned ZIFA and the Sports Commission to a meeting at his offices to iron out their differences after the two parties were involved in a high-profile clash over the weekend. In cricket, the Chevrons struggled with the bat once again as they were bowled out for 154 runs in the third one-day international against Afghanistan in Sharjah. And we can tell you that the Chevrons, Zimbabwe, have suffered a massive 6-wicket defeat at the hands of Afghanistan. We'll be giving you details of how that match unfolded a bit later on. In athletics news, a veteran female runner, Samkeli Somoyo, has challenged upcoming middle and long distance runners to up their game if they are to make an impact in road races.
To our international sports news roundup, we start in cricket. A century from Rohit Sharma saw India to a respectable total in the fifth one-day international against the Proteas at St George's Park in Port Elizabeth. In rugby union, Island centre Robbie Henshaw will miss the rest of the Six Nations with a shoulder injury. And in tennis, former world number one Maria Sharapova was sent packing in the first round of the Qatar Open with a shock defeat to Monica Nilescu.
We'll take the usual break in the middle of the show for the Zolfra Bronix play of the day. Then we dive into the beautiful game where in the Premier League, Antonio Conte thanked Chelsea supporters for their backing after his team bounced back from consecutive defeats with a 3-0 win over West Bromwich Albion last night. Then we are into, yes, it's back, the UEFA Champions League, where Vincent Kompany believes Manchester City are ready for Champions League glory, and tonight they meet Basel in the first leg of the last 16 of Europe's Premier Club competition. Juventus defender Giorgio Chiellini says he will not be able to stop extraordinary Harry Kane alone in tonight's Champions League match against Tottenham.
Zimbabwe's finest three. ZiFM Stereo.
ZiFM Stereo, it is Top Hit Tuesday, and we have got a big announcement to make because as of today, the ZiFM sports team,
tell me,
is proudly dressed by Adidas.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. Adidas. Just like Lionel Messi, eh, Bunch?
Yeah, and Cristiano Ronaldo is also dressed by Adidas, isn't it? Oh.
No, he isn't, you. He's dressed by Nike.
Whenever there's talk of Lionel Messi, you just have to.
Yeah, nah. You know, we had some offers from Nike, but we turned them down. We didn't think they were good enough, and eventually opted for Adidas. And of course, Mark, you'll find the Adidas shop at the Village, the Sam Levis Village, as well as the Village Walk.
That's right. 2 locations in Bordel, Sam Levis Village, and at the Village Walk. So get into Adidas and get all your latest kit.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
We start with football news of an administrative nature where Sport, Arts and Recreation Minister Kazembe summoned ZiFM and the Sports Commission to a meeting at his offices to iron out their differences after the two parties were involved in a high-profile clash over the weekend. The meeting comes against the backdrop of a weekend in which ZiFM reacted furiously to statements by the SRC that the supreme regulatory sports body could intervene in the association's affairs because of differences over the election roadmap for the association. The Sports and Recreation Commission, the SRC, issued a chilling warning to ZiFM over its continued disregard of its own constitution, saying they, quote, will not hesitate to step in and restore order. In response, the Chiangwa-led association ZiFM said the SRC move was in fact in breach of the ZiFM electoral code, citing an article that deals with the principles, obligations and rights of parties and government interference. Now, ZiFM Sport reached out to ZiFM President Philip Chiangwa and Acting Sports Commission Chief Joseph Mchechetere earlier today. Mchechetere referred ZiFM Sport to the Minister of Sport, Arts and Recreation or the Permanent Secretary for a comment. Chiangwa's phone went unanswered and text messages were ignored. We, however, caught up with football pundit Hope Chizuzu, who shared his insight on the constitutional intricacies surrounding ZiFM's election procedure and SRC's involvement.
It is very unfortunate, Sean, that anybody would really want to see SRC's involvement in this as interference. It is clearly not interference, but SRC, from an act of parliament, are an organization that does oversee not only a football, but all other sports codes. So theirs is an oversight role. What SRC are doing is clearly reminding ZiFM of their constitutional obligations. But you must also notice that there was some very truant interpretation of the Constitution by someone who is supposed to be a ZiFM lawyer, although his position as a ZiFM lawyer is still subject to ratification because he has not been ratified by Congress, and therefore his representation of ZiFM is also suspect, but he can represent the ZiFM President Philip Chiangwa as his personal lawyer. His interpretation of the law is very laughable, but from a lawyer's point of view, it is interesting because we expect lawyers to be looking at things like this. But what then that means is clearly the term of office for ZiFM is 4 years. And if, as they are arguing, that Philip Chiangwa still has 22 months to run in this current council, who will he be leading at that time? Because the term of office of the council, which is the 58 members who vote these guys into office, is ending by March the 30th. So Philip Chiangwa can have his 22 months with his lawyer, but who will he be leading? Because the council will have ended. But the same constitution that they are not reading in its entirety says that the term of office of an executive committee subsists for as long as the term of office of council. If the term of office of council is ending in March, surely it follows that the term of office of the executive committee also does end at that same period. So clearly you can see that this is a truant attempt by somebody who is trying to evade subject to re-election. Clearly I don't see the problem with Philip Chiangwa wanting to subject himself to another election. Why is he running scared? It is very interesting. You can only see that this is somebody who is being truant. They are operating like they have discovered that in this constitution there is an article that talks about the life and the term of a ZiFM president as if he is operating in a vacuum.
Now, the ZiFM saga with more twists than a soap opera. I tell you, it goes one way and then the next. And I'm telling you, if you follow
Santa
it into
Barbara.
worse than Santa Barbara, because this one is a cliffhanger, absolute cliffhanger. We don't know where it's going to go next. But anyway, we've turned the corner now. We've gone another way. The SRC's gotten involved. Philip Chiangwa says, no, you can't get involved. That's government interference. Further, I've got 22 months. Leave me alone. What say you?
Have you ever noticed how all these football administrators, whenever they're backed in a corner, whenever they're held accountable, whenever people start asking questions,
whenever they feel they are unpopular,
whenever they feel like they may be slipping out of power, they always resort to the same tactics. Right now, we've got a situation where Philip Chiangwa and Omega Sibanda and all the other guys at ZiFM are using the same tactics that were used by Cuthbert Dube and Jonathan Mashingai.
Bans.
Suspensions, bans, and of course the loopholes that they exploit in the Constitution. Now, why do you need to exploit a loophole? That's because you know you don't have popular support. That's because you fear something. Why is Chiangwa running scared? That's the pertinent question that's been asked by Hope Chizuzu here. Why is he scared of an election? Surely an election is an opportunity for you to get a new mandate and for you to say to people, look, this is the endorsement I have from the football fraternity. This is for me to go another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. He should be seeking 4 years, not the 22 months that you once left. Why not go for an election? You know, you're popular. Go for an election and win it and get your 4 years complete. And plus those 2 will be like 6. Even after the 4 years, go for another election and win. But I just enjoyed listening to what Rob said, that the Congress, the executive members, all their mandate is expiring on March 30. So who's he leading? Who is he going to be leading? Yes, he has got the 22 months that they found in the loophole, and you will be the chairman, and then what? Who will he be delegating to do whatever? Any football business? Who will be doing the football business for Zimbabwe when he is the only one with the mandate and he is president who are going for the 22 months?
Well, you know what they say, that if you're a leader and nobody's following you, you're just taking a walk, aren't you? So it's supposed Philip Chiangwa's taking a walk. But you look at intricately at this whole scenario. In truth, we're about 3-4 months behind now in terms of the electoral process, because in truth we should have already had the area zone, because we go through districts, provinces and all sorts up until we get to national and obviously presidential elections. Now we are a few weeks away from the end of those mandates. We haven't had a single election going downstream in terms of the
others have already expired.
No, they've expired already,
like the area zones and them.
So consequently, here we are. We're facing a constitutional crisis in our football, and now the leadership is saying that because we have a mandate, we're fine.
That's why the SRC is trying to step in. Now, I want to bring in something, guys. I remember I was a school kid then when we held the All Africa Games, I think 1995. And I remember, Alois, you guys, how could you lose that final? But anyway, we'll discuss that another day. You guys broke my heart.
Even our own hearts.
We'll discuss that one a bit later. But I remember then there were interviews that were done of the Nigeria team, and they were in First Street. And I remember one of the Nigerian team members, she was a lady, an athlete, and she says, you can tell that the Zimbabweans were really colonized by the way they speak their English.
You're right.
You know, and I remember that it struck to me that then it was funny. But then the more I think about it, I think about it in this way. Have you noticed how, because of Zimbabweans, we think ourselves so educated, we think ourselves so smart, we think ourselves so intellectual, we don't like rolling up our sleeves and getting dirty. That's why we are prone to certain elements taking advantage of us, because we are too intellectual to fight dirty with people who are fighting dirty. Now, let's go to West Africa, Barry. Let's go to other parts of the world. This type of nonsense here is not tolerated.
It happened in Cameroon.
And do you know what? Do you know what Chiangwa is using? Chiangwa, Cuthbert Dube and the predecessors, all they've used against us is you're going to get banned.
Yes.
Do you know what? So what, Mr. Chiangwa, if you're listening? So what if we get banned? You know what? They've been nations. Nigeria has been banned.
Cameroon has been banned.
Ghana has been banned.
But they're back in.
You know what?
After sorting their own
if we're going to get banned for 6 months so that we get this thing right, for the good of football, I say, you know what? So what? Let's get banned. Because that's the one thing, the one threat that they always dangle over the people and over government. They always go to government and that's what he's going to say to Kasembe and say, you know what, guys, if you carry on doing what you're doing, muchati banisa bora redo.
So what? So what? Because look, the SRC is there to, like website, to represent all the sporting bodies. You register a constitution with the SRC. Now they're saying that you are violating it, and this constitution right now has been messed up. How are we going to solve this? it has to be the government and the SRC to come now and say, how do we get back and iron out this thing? It's not going to be a ZiFM thing only. And they need to step in and take action.
Do you know what? Just listening to you, chaps, we actually have a golden opportunity here to fix our football completely.
Yes.
From the grassroots coming up.
Let's get banned. Let's start afresh.
All of these mandates have now run out, right from the area zone, right to national. Obviously, national is going to end up. Now would be a golden opportunity for us to start again. And once we start again, we can then get the right people into the office.
Okay, let's hear from you, the fans. Let's hear from you. You are the owners of sport in Zimbabwe. You are the biggest custodians of football. We want to hear from you on our WhatsApp platform 0731168045. No doubt that there are varied views about what's happening right now at ZiFM, as well as, of course, the interference or the so-called interference of the Sports Recreation Commission, as well as that meeting that's been called by the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. Hit us up as well on Twitter and Facebook at ZiFM Sport. Another reminder of our WhatsApp number 0731168045. We'll be having the fan zone a bit later on, where we'll try and read as many of your messages and thoughts as we can.
Hi, I'm Heat Streak, and you are listening to ZiFM Sports.
A quick local sports news roundup for you, starting with cricket. The Chevrons were in action today. We can tell you it's been a monumental struggle, and they have lost to Afghanistan by 6 wickets. Our lads struggled with the bat, being bowled out for 154. Just running through the scores for the Zimbabwe lads: Hamilton Masakadza failing at the top, 9 from 17 balls. Solomon Mire, 22. Brendan Taylor, after the sparkling century, he could only get 9 this time. Craig Irvine rediscovering something of his old form with 39. Sikandar Raza, reliable as usual in the middle order, 38. But then things fell away badly after that. Ryan Burl, 0. Walla, 1. Creamer, 2. Chatara, 11. Vittori, 15. And the last man standing, Muzarabani, on 0, not out. And then Afghanistan in reply, 158 for 4 on the back of 2 half centuries by number 3 batsman Rahmat Shah and number 4 Nasir Jamal, who made 56 and 51 respectively. Zimbabwe losing by 6 wickets. In athletics news, veteran female roadrunner Samkeli Somoyo has challenged upcoming middle and long distance runners to up their game if they are to make an impact in road races. Moyo came out tops in the women's category at the Old Mutual Harare Marathon on Sunday, and speaking after the race at Old Georgian Sports Club, the 44-year-old said although she was happy to have won the women's title, it was her wish to see the younger athletes dominating such races. Let's wrap it up with triathlon, where veteran Zimbabwe triathlete Roy Mackey is latest entry in this year's Bonacqua Troutbeck Africa Triathlon Union Sprint Triathlon African Cup. Try slapping that on a cap, t-shirt or tracksuit. And of course, this is going to be held in Nyanga on Saturday. The 36-year-old Mackey joins 19-year-old Gideon Bernard as the only Zimbabwean elite men for the annual event. Mackey and Bernard are the first Zimbabweans to take part in the Troutbeck event since former Olympian Christoph Felget last completed in 2012.
Exide lasts the distance. Exide has the endurance. Exide unleashes the power, and it starts your engine with just one kick. Exide fears no weather. Exide withstands the temperature. Exide fears no size. Exide does not give up. It is the ultimate battery. Exide, the battery of choice.
Here we go again.
Enjoy world-class radio online. ZiFM Stereo is available on TuneIn. Search for ZiFM Stereo and you got it.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Okay, we go international, and our first port of call is St George's Park in Port Elizabeth for cricket, where a century from Rohit Sharma saw India to a respectable 274 for 7 after their allotted 50 overs in the 5th ODI today. After a slow start in which only 5 runs were scored off the first 3 overs, Shikhar Dhawan and Sharma began to hit their straps. Dhawan in particular quickly found the pace of the pitch to his liking and rushed to 34 of just 23 balls, including 8 boundaries, before he was caught on the score square leg boundary off Kagiso Rabada's bowling. We can give you the very latest from that game, and we can tell you that South Africa are currently 85 for 3. That's after 16.3 overs. The men out. Hashim Amla is still there, 26 not out. Captain Aidan Markham is out for 32. JP Duminy out for 1, and AB de Villiers out for 6. David Miller is 16 not out. So Panda getting 2 big wickets, that of Duminy and AB de Villiers. So that is the latest in that particular match. Now, guys, at 203 for 3 in the 36th over, India certainly looked set that they were going to get close to a score of over 300.
Yeah, they looked like that, but Ngidi came up with the goods once again, and he's proving to be something of a revelation, Ngidi, for the Proteas, and doing very well to make sure that they restricted India to that score, which South Africa would fancy that they'll be able to chase down. But the way things are going right now, 85 for 3, de Villiers back in the shed, Duminy back in the shed, Makram back in the shed as well, and it's really up to Amla and Miller at the moment to make sure that they forge a partnership that can get them closer to that India total. For me, I've been rather surprised that they've opted to play JP Duminy at first drop, coming in as number 3 batsman.
Yeah,
they're short. They should. Obviously, he's playing in place of Faf du Plessis. I mean, it's.
But it's an arm twist. I don't think they considered properly, because I think JP Duminy is a lot more useful a bit down the order. Also, Hashim Amla, I think for me, staying out there is going to be critical to ensuring that South Africa get
he's got to get 100
in this game. He's got to get a big score in this one. The minute that they get the wicket of Amla, you got to think yourself it's going one way.
Okay, another update for you. Captain Kane Williamson silenced his critics with a half century as New Zealand defeated England by 12 runs in the 4th match of the T20 Tri-Series in Wellington. This severely dented England's hopes of making the final. Williamson top scored with 72 from 46 balls, and opener Martin Guptill contributed 65 as the Black Caps battled to a tight victory. The hosts had set a target of 197 but restricted England to 184 for 9 in reply. Now, Mark, you're a big fan of English sport. You'd have fancied England to have performed fairly well in the T20 series, because that's been their forte. Like in the last 18-24 months, England have really played well in T20 cricket.
I'll give you 2 names. Well, his first name and his surname. Ben Stokes.
Well, he's joining up with the squad now.
Yep.
After he was given unconditional bail in today's hearing. So that should strengthen them, because he adds balance, doesn't he, to the England setup. He's a good batsman, explosive as well, and he bowls quite a bit.
He does, and it looks like Ben Stokes adds a little bit more apart from just his talent and ability. It looks like he's also a good sort of vibe for the team.
He is, very much so.
And picks up inspirational for the team as well.
Hi, this is Alexandra Maseko, and I'm the national basketball team captain, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
All right, we just got 60 seconds, so let's go. We take off in Qatar, where former world number 1 Maria Sharapova was sent packing in the first round of the Qatar Open with a shock 4-6, 6-4, 6-3 defeat to Monica Niculescu. Niculescu had never previously faced Sharapova, who was playing in Doha for the first time since 2013 on a wild card. Across to Ireland, centre Robbie Henshaw will miss the rest of the Six Nations with a shoulder injury. Henshaw scored 2 tries in his country's 56-19 win over Italy at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, but injured himself while touching down the second and was forced off. In the U.S. state of Arizona, Steph Curry scored 22 points in a night. Golden State coach Steve Kerr took a backseat in the Warriors to 129-83 win over the Phoenix Suns. In Pennsylvania, Dario Saric scored 24 points as Philadelphia's 76ers won their 4th in a row with 108-92 win over New York Knicks. And in Utah, the Jazz beat the San Antonio Spurs 101-99. Touching down in the U.S. state of Florida at the PGA Tour headquarters, the golf world rankings still look familiar with no major changes. Number 1 is Dustin Johnson. John Rahm is at 2nd. 3rd, Jordan Spieth. 4th, Justin Thomas. And in 5th position is Justin Rose. That's the world in 60 seconds here on ZiFM Sport.
And just a reminder, a sale not to be missed at Ideal Range Adidas Concept Store Zimbabwe, Sam Levy's Village and the Village Walk, soccer boots, rugby boots and all gym kit, selected items up to 60% off.
Barry Manandi, do you renew, do you get new boots every season? Because I know you play quite a bit. Do you get new boots? I mean, how often do you need to get new boots?
Every half season. So
every half season.
Beginning of the season, new pair. Half season, get a new pair as well. And then the old pair sort of becomes your training boots.
Well, you're trying to say that you play quite a bit.
100%, mate. Whoa, Mark. Careful, man. Careful. Mikey, I will remind you that at certain five-a-side games, there was a goalkeeper.
In his three-piece suit.
There was a goalkeeper called Mark Pozza.
Yes. Italian fella, I think.
Yes. Scored 3 against him. And now because now we're in the same room. Oh, you play a bit.
Scored 3 against me.
Oh, wow. And of course, guys, if you want your football boots, there's no better place than the Adidas shops that you'll find at Sam Levy's Village, as well as the Village Walk out in Borrowdale. Lots and lots of boots for you to select from, all at affordable prices.
To all you Twitter heads, connect with ZiFM Stereo on twitter.com/ZiFM Stereo /ZiFM Stereo.
Fan Zone. Get in touch with the team and have your say your way.
Operator.
The number 0731168045. That's 0731168045. That's our WhatsApp number. Get in touch with us. We can tell that Zifa and Philip Chiangwa are certainly trending. Let's read this one. It says, on the Zifa saga, Philip must live up to the new dispensation where leaders should not cling to power. Those who cling to power must be removed by any means necessary. We all saw that play out in politics just a few weeks ago. This is from Selecta in Southerton. So he reckons that Dr. Philip Chiangwa is hanging on to power, and he says congratulations on your Adidas sponsorship.
Maybe we need to get General SB Moy on the job.
And do an announcement on TV.
Do an announcement, yes.
100%. This one says, from a fan point of view, I think Chiangwa is making our sport a laughing stock. If he knows that he is holding the light for the future of Zim football, why can't he run in the upcoming elections? If not, then he has to do the honorable thing to retire than to tarnish the image of our governing body. That's Tinashe Mofu in Epworth, who reckons step aside, or if you are indeed the great hope for Zimbabwe football, subject yourself to the selection and rigors of an election and see just how well you do.
And I think one of the things that he fears, Philip Chiangwa, is that he's really delivered on none of the things that he promised when he was elected. The key things that he talked about, that he would get rid of the debt, issues like that, which are key. And right now, that debt keeps increasing, keeps ballooning. He hasn't delivered on that. And we have seen Zifa actually get embroiled in more and more sagas. In fact, right now, Zifa under Chiangwa is even more controversial than Zifa under Cuthbert Dube.
Yeah, right now we are in a very difficult situation. Like you were talking about the things that were not delivered. We haven't even seen the participation of our junior teams, the structures in the development structures, the women's game. There's chaos in the women's game. The Mighty Warriors are non-existent as we speak. You know, it's just the COSAFA that they played. After that, they kind of like non-existent. We know nothing about what is happening with them. There are a lot of things. You know, now where are we going? Do we even see where we are going? I don't even see where we are going.
It brings us to question, Barry. Chiangwa, he talked about, and he was very bullish in the press, at the time that Africa was kicking out Issa Hayatu. And I remember we back then we asked the question, is this guy, does he really hold any meaningful power on the continent? Or he's just the barking dog that's being used to get the process underway and to get this guy out of office? Because right now, Chiangwa has got nothing meaningful out of CAF that Zimbabwe can hold and say, you know what? This was what Chiangwa had. These are the fruits of the effort and the labor that Chiangwa put in. What have we got as a nation?
What he got for himself is the COSAFA presidency, but even that hasn't benefited Zimbabwe much. Guys, I'm just thinking, as you guys have been talking, Is this not in character, though? Is it not in keeping with Philip Chiangwa's character? Because you look at some of his property development projects. He'll start and then he won't finish. Yes. He gets bored very quickly. Yeah. He starts something, he's excited about it, and really gets going, and it looks like it's headed somewhere. I mean, you look at that hotel project out near Borrowdale Brook.
Is that what it is?
I think he gets bored. Michael. I think he's a man who gets bored very quickly, and that's
dashed down his own offices in Alex Park. Yes. And now it's an eyesore.
Shadrach Mbaiwa in Dema in Seke says that, guys, I think we mustn't be afraid of the FIFA ban, because these people in ZiFA don't have our football at heart. The ban will benefit our football in the long term. We will put our house in order and avoid these comedians running our football.
Yeah, but the one positive that I can actually say is when he brought in Wicknell to pay off that debt for the coach and save us from being banned from the World Cup. Yeah, at least that's something.
He did that. He took the cars back again from the coaches.
I mean, you just want that come a silver line.
If I was Wicknell right now, I'll be saying bring back those cars, because Wicknell himself is in a spot of bother.
He's none too flash as well.
But at least we're going to be in the head for the 22 World Cup, at least.
Indeed. We're going back to your messages, just checking what you are saying about this situation concerning ZiFA and their screeds of messages. This one says Philip Chiangwa Ngasi Bora Redu. This one says Nai guys Chiposta Chakanzi Nafaz Chikuite Ipama offices ZiFA.
ZiFA is not even supposed to be there in the first place.
Chiangwa and his crew must go. They are just busy watching cars passing through Enterprise Road, doing nothing in their offices. Chiangwa is stealing from ZiFA. Why is ZiFA paying rent to Chiangwa's office? I am angry. That's Kulakoshe Makarutse out in Chizi.
News, lifestyle, charts, live radio, station highlights, and much more. Get it all on zfmstereo.co.zw.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport.
We start the beautiful game at Chelsea, where Antonio Conte thanked Chelsea supporters for their backing after his team bounced back from consecutive defeats with a 3-0 win over West Bromwich Albion last night. The victory, just a third in 11 in all competitions, sees Chelsea climb back above Tottenham into fourth and ease pressure on the Italian. Conte's future at Stamford Bridge remains the subject of speculation less than a year after he led them to the Premier League title. Let's hear from the Chelsea head coach Antonio Conte, who felt securing 3 points was the most important thing as they returned to winning ways after back-to-back defeats.
I think that tonight for us it was very important to get 3 points and to win the game, because especially for the confidence. And I think when you lose in a bad way 2 games against Bournemouth and Watford, the confidence goes down. I think tonight for us it was very, very important. It was very important, I think, to recover for the players, to have a couple of days to rest. A good win for us tonight.
Certainly was a good win for Chelsea. They've won all 4 of their Premier League meetings, incidentally, against West Brom under Antonio Conte without conceding a single goal. But they were taking on, of course, the bottom club in the table.
Yeah, you still have to win. You still have to beat what's put out in front of you. And yesterday, they did the business courtesy of 2 players who I thought were outstanding on the night, Eden Hazard as well as Olivier Giroud. Olivier Giroud failed. He may have failed to get on the score sheet, but he was absolutely outstanding. He showed that he has got a bit of an understanding with Eden Hazard. He set up that first goal for Eden Hazard. It was a great touch, just a 1-2, played it into Giroud's feet, and he laid it on for Hazard, who finished emphatically. And he showed shown what he can do for Chelsea. I think they need a big, strong striker, and that's when Hazard really plays his best football. We saw Hazard play like that with Diego Costa, and now while Giroud does not have the skill or the mobility of Diego Costa, but he's got the strength of Diego Costa, and and Hazard will be able to feed off some of the layoffs that are given by Olivier Giroud.
And for me, that's why it didn't work at Arsenal or work as well as it could have, because Giroud, in truth, he's a box player. He get it in the box is where he operates best as a target man. He can bounce off defenders. He attracts interest, and then the layoffs then work out, just as we saw on that first goal you just described. So I think he's going to thrive at Chelsea. He may not score a glut of goals, but his contribution to the team is going to be significant.
Alois, I'm not happy with the style of refereeing, though, in the English Premiership, and Pep Guardiola in recent weeks has done all he can to bring attention to that. If you saw the hits that Olivier Giroud took yesterday, and that the Chelsea players were on the receiving end of from West Bromwich players. I mean, West Brom went full-on agricultural on Chelsea. And that, for me, guys, that's just totally unacceptable. Some of those tackles, and referees seem to be indulging some of that play.
And they're not consistent.
Yeah, they're not consistent.
You find one match, such a small little touch, they are blowing yellow card. But when the game is hot like this, when people are banging each other, I think it's for the referee to actually, as soon as it starts, to control it, so that say, hang on, we don't appreciate this, then the players will back off. But if you let one go, you let the second one go, it's one for us all, it's free for all, and they're just kicking, and like you are saying, you start indulging, actually enjoying the kicking, and like the West Brom, I think it was their tactic, and it was for the referee to protect the Chelsea players. But he didn't. He let it go.
And it was obvious it was their tactic, because they were coming up against the Chelsea side that was low on confidence, that hasn't been playing well. So their tactic was obviously, let's kick these guys off the park, hopefully throw them off their stride, and then maybe we can pick up the pieces. It didn't work, because Chelsea were on the game last night, and I think this is a victory that eases some pressure off Antonio Conte. Let's go to Spain, where Clarence Seedorf could not inspire Deportivo to a rare victory as he took charge of the struggling side for the first time in a 1-0 loss to Real Betis. Seedorf replaced fired former boss Cristobal Paralo until the end of the season last week, and said he was convinced things had changed despite a fourth defeat from a 6. If you watched that game, yes, the improvement was there, but unfortunately, Barry, whenever you're struggling against relegation, you are not always judged by the style of football. You're judged by the results.
No, you're not. And listen, football unfortunately isn't a points game. It is a goals game, and then if you score goals, you win matches. And I think Clarence Seedorf has certainly taken up a challenging task. Look, yes, if it's attractive, you think to yourself, it's going to come right. Will it come right in time, though?
Is that the problem with Dutch coaches in recent years, Alois? Because you take a look at Dutch coaches, they have struggled in the last 5, 6, 7 years, no matter who it is, whether it's the older generation, the likes of Louis van Gaal, Dirk Advocaat, or even the young generation, coaches like Ronald Koeman, like De Boer, Kluivert as well, all those guys. They have struggled as coaches because maybe the Dutch philosophy will not get you over the line now with the way football is evolved, with the discipline, with the structure, with the rigidity that's required. We know the Dutch love to play football.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. When you look at it, they themselves, they have fallen out as far as goal scoring is concerned. They actually don't have a proven goal scorer since Van Persie. There's nothing. I think the way they play, they want to entertain more. They want that crisp passing and all that. But then now teams are more disciplined. They're playing in blocks. You can't penetrate. You need to vary your play, get the crosses in and all that. The Dutch don't do that. And if you don't vary your play, you're not going to cross the line. And now their coaches, they want to keep on saying we are our Dutch philosophy. But for me, I think it's time now they need to incorporate the British type of football and make a good concoction of football that can bring results.
Yeah. A philosophy, I think, that brings results is probably what Clarence Seedorf is going to have to implement at Deportivo La Coruña if they are going to remain in La Liga. Let's take a look at the race for the Pichichi, which is the Golden Boot in Spain. Lionel Messi leading the way by some distance. He scored 20 goals this season so far. Luis Suarez is in second place. He scored 16. Iago Aspas has scored 15. Maxi Gomez, 12. Christian Stuani has scored 12. Ronaldo has scored 11. Simone Zaza, 10. Antoine Griezmann, 8. Gareth Bale is on 6.
ZiFM Stereo is untouchable.
For me, the sun has risen. Zuvarabuda. Champions League is back now. Van Song Company believes that Manchester City are ready for Champions League glory. And if they do not secure European silverware this season, then it will not be long in waiting if they maintain their current conviction. Pep Guardiola's side are still fighting on all fronts this season, with the Spanish coach setting a short-term goal of reaching the quarterfinals. Tonight, they meet Basel in the first leg of their last 16 of Europe's premier club competition. And you got to think to yourself, there's a favourable draw for Manchester City facing Basel. On paper, I think they do the business here.
I think so. They have the side that should be able to handle business against Basel, but Basel classically has been a side that's difficult to beat.
Very difficult.
They're not pushovers, so it's a game where Man City has to play well, and they have to cut out mistakes to make sure that they beat this side, because Basel is a side that's very capable and likes to take advantage of mistakes. They play a very good counter-attacking brand of football, so Man City still has to play well to get over the line.
Yeah, I think for Manchester, the story is going to be either or. If they might struggle, but if they grip that team, they're going to massacre them. If they take total control of the match, the way we know they play. If they come home, if they come with their A game today, they will definitely blast Basel apart. But like I say, if they come and try to say, okay, let's be conservative and do that, they can get hit and all that. But with the form that Manchester City are in, Aguero and them, I don't see Basel standing any chance in this match.
Of course, the City going into this game as a firm favourites. However, Basel boasts an impressive home record in recent years against English sides in the Champions League, winning 4 of their last 5, including a win over Manchester United. That's not the only game that's on tonight in Europe's Premier Cup competition. Juventus host Tottenham, and their defender Giorgio Chiellini says he will not be able to stop the extraordinary Harry Kane alone in tonight's Champions League match. Chiellini, who's expected to partner Mehdi Benatia at centre-half in the round of 16 first leg in Turin, needs no introduction to Harry Kane, who finished 2017 as the top goal scorer in elite European football and finished the group stage with 6 goals from 5 appearances. Kane says he's looking forward to playing against the amazing Juventus defender Giorgio Chiellini again, having first encountered him on his England debut. Kane made his full England debut under then manager Roy Hodgson in a 1-1 draw away to Italy in 2015. Let's hear from both players, Chiellini and Harry Kane, on tonight's matchup.
Kane's an extraordinary striker, and the stats over the past 2 years prove it. And he's a player who's grown a lot over recent years. He's a complete player, scores goals, sets up his teammates. He's got the characteristics which make him one of the best in the world, and Tottenham are lucky to have him because he's a rare commodity. Thinking of stopping Kane one-on-one, just me, is not going to happen. My interest is that Juventus stop Tottenham, and this is the most important thing.
He's
an amazing defender. My first game, my first start for England, probably first 5 minutes. He made a challenge and I had a dead leg for about 10 minutes. So, it was a good welcome to international football. So, we know how good their defence is as a whole, and obviously their goalkeeper as well. And they're a fantastic team. So, I'm looking forward to the challenge of coming up against them again.
Oh, it's going to be a monumental tussle. And if there's ever a game, Mark, that Tottenham need for them to prove like they belong at this stage, it's got to be this game, Mark. They're up against Juventus, and Juventus are one of the pedigree sides in Europe.
Yeah, very much so. And this is the first competitive meeting between these two sides, Juventus and Tottenham. Juve unbeaten in their last 22 Champions League home games, their longest ever run without a defeat in the competition on home soil. But I've got to say, guys, that I'm going Tottenham here tonight.
I think Tottenham has got a team for it.
I'm going Juventus.
I think they're up for it.
If there's any time, Tottenham in the past few years, if there's any time they have had a very, very good chance of actually doing well, beat a big team and proceed, they have the team. This is the time that they've got the team that can do it. I've got a feeling.
Yeah, I think they're capable of winning, but I think that usually around February is when Juventus, the old lady, always picks up her skirt around February, and
starts running.
This is when she starts running, and I think that in terms of the efficient use of the ball, I think Juventus are a different proposition. If Tottenham need an away goal, certainly, Barry, they have to score in Italy.
They're going to have to score in Italy, and that's a difficult proposition. So for me, in the tie, I think Juventus ultimately goes through. Tottenham might make a fist of it, and I expect them to tonight. And we can't make a fist of it because we're out of time. We got to go. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
Be sure to catch ZiFM Sport every weekday on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.